The latest moves involving Manchester City are completely shaking up the backstage of European football. The club led by Pep Guardiola, which in recent years has consolidated itself as a dominant force in England and also on the international stage, seems to be at the center of the hottest negotiations of the transfer window. Among promising names, strategic decisions, and unprecedented talks with continental giants, City show that they do not intend to stand still while their rivals make their moves. One of the main points of tension at this moment revolves around Savinho, a young talent who has become one of the most talked-about players of this window. The saga involving the Brazilian gained new chapters after Tottenham decided to intensify their efforts to bring him to London. Spurs chairman Daniel Levy, known for being a tough and persistent negotiator, did not give up even after City's initial refusal to release the player. On the contrary, he used that rejection as fuel to devise an even more aggressive plan to try to seduce the Manchester club and convince the player to accept Tottenham's project. The Londoners even put a very significant offer on the table, amounting to around $69 million. This move came right after the frustration of failing to sign Eze, who is now on the verge of joining Arsenal. This detail adds even more drama to the dispute, as Spurs, under pressure from their supporters and the need for immediate reinforcements, see in Savinho a golden opportunity to regain lost morale. But there is a problem that cannot be ignored: time. The transfer window is moving towards its closing, and at the Etihad, there is a clear sense that releasing a talent like Savinho at this point could be a huge strategic mistake. Guardiola, for his part, has always made it clear that he believes in the player's potential. For him, this could be the year when the youngster finally explodes and establishes himself as a decisive piece in City's squad. The confidence placed in the Brazilian is such that Pep does not hide his expectation of seeing him shine in the sky blue shirt this season. Even so, the situation is far from simple. Rumors in the background suggest that Savinho himself does not rule out the possibility of moving on. For the forward, the chance to have guaranteed minutes on the pitch could weigh heavily, especially with the 2026 World Cup on the horizon. At such a decisive stage of his career, being a protagonist at a club like Tottenham may sound more appealing than fighting for space in a City squad packed with stars, and it is not difficult to understand the logic. Young players need continuity, match rhythm, and confidence. In the competitive environment of Manchester City, where rotation is intense and the pressure for immediate results is constant, carving out space can take time. At Spurs, however, Thomas Frank, who has been pointed out as a key figure in convincing the player, could guarantee exactly that: a starting role, prominence, and the chance to prepare for even bigger leaps. While the rumors circulate, the reality is that someone within City's structure has already made a tough decision. Savinho should not leave at this moment. This internal veto creates enormous tension, as it places Guardiola, the board, and the player himself in a stalemate. Every passing hour becomes crucial, and the expectation is that the next moves will once and for all define the outcome of this saga. On Tottenham's side, the scenario is one of pure urgency. The club has been severely affected by injury problems in its attacking sector. The loss of James Maddison, victim of a serious cruciate ligament injury, added to the physical limitations faced by Dejan Kulusevski, has left Levy's squad in a delicate situation. The team desperately needs creative and versatile reinforcements to keep alive their ambitions in the Premier League. In this context, Savinho fits perfectly, both for his talent and for his potential for growth. The British press even reported that Daniel Levy would be willing to arrange a face-to-face meeting with City's directors to try to seal the deal. This meeting could take place precisely at the Etihad at the weekend, when the two teams meet in the Premier League. The idea of negotiating face-to-face, amid a naturally intense atmosphere due to the clash, shows just how determined Spurs are not to let the opportunity slip away. This dispute, however, is not limited to the present. There is a history of friction between City and Tottenham that cannot be forgotten. Many still remember the summer of 2021, when Pep Guardiola tried in every possible way to sign Harry Kane. At the time, Tottenham were as intransigent as possible and refused to negotiate the English star, even in the face of multi-million-pound offers. Now, the situation seems to have reversed. It is Manchester City's turn, with Savinho in their hands, to decide whether to give in to the pressure or take advantage of the occasion to return the favor, keeping the player as a symbol of resistance against their London rivals. Tottenham's fascination with Savinho is not an exaggeration. The club see in him a potential superstar, someone capable of redefining the attack and bringing the unpredictability the team so sorely lacks. His versatility on the pitch, his ability to create plays, and, above all, the impressive tally of 14 assists recorded last season reinforce the idea that he is a player ready for a big leap in his career. But once again, the central question remains unanswered. Will City release Savinho and meet Tottenham's desperate needs, or will they keep him as another valuable weapon to fight for the titles at stake this season? With each passing day, the pressure increases, and the pieces of this million-pound chessboard keep moving. While the Savinho saga keeps fans and executives in suspense, a new storyline is beginning to unfold behind the scenes at Manchester City. For the first time, the club has opened direct talks with Paris Saint-Germain. The negotiation that has emerged in the past 48 hours has shaken the market because it involves a key position, the goalkeeper, and a heavyweight name, Gianluigi Donnarumma. The Italian goalkeeper's situation in Paris is far from stable. Since last season, rumors of discontent had been growing, and recently the atmosphere has soured completely. Disagreements over contractual issues and a natural wear and tear with the French board have created an almost irreparable rupture. Faced with this scenario, Donnarumma has come to see an exit as necessary to continue his career at a high level. And, at this moment, Manchester City have appeared as a tempting destination. Reports from the Italian press indicate that the 25-year-old keeper has already agreed personal terms with City, requesting a salary in the region of $250,000 per week. The most revealing detail is that Guardiola is said to have spoken personally with him to give his approval, reinforcing how seriously the negotiation is being treated in Manchester. This is not merely a backstage rumor, but rather a real and strategic move by the English club. From PSG's side, the situation is also clear. The French club have set a price of around $50 million to release their number one, who was a decisive figure in last season's Champions League triumph. That figure may seem high, but the Parisian board know they are negotiating a valuable asset. However, time is working against them. Donnarumma is in his final year of contract, and this may pressure the club into accepting a lower offer, especially if they do not wish to risk losing him for free. What makes everything even more intriguing is the direct connection of this possible transfer with the future of Ederson. The Brazilian goalkeeper, a fan idol and a key part of City's greatest achievements, is beginning to consider new horizons. After 8 years guarding the sky blue goal, Ederson has already won every possible trophy, including the long-awaited Champions League. However, his contract is entering its final year, and sources close to him assure that he is open to a new challenge. The main party interested is Galatasaray, who have already knocked on City's door with an initial offer, promptly rejected for being considered far too low. Even so, the Turks have not given up. The European press report that the club have set a deadline until the end of the week to receive a definitive response. The idea is simple. If City agree to negotiate Ederson, they will raise their bid. If not, they will look for another target. This equation is delicate. Manchester City would not like to part with a player who has marked an era at the club, but they also cannot ignore the opportunity to secure Donnarumma, considered one of the best goalkeepers of the new generation. The dilemma boils down to choosing between keeping the safety of a consolidated idol or betting on a young name with the potential to be a reference for another decade. Sources close to both the City and PSG boards confirm that they believe a deal is possible. There is mutual confidence that, even with high figures, a middle ground can be found. With each passing hour, the expectation grows that Donnarumma could be wearing the sky blue shirt even before the window closes. If confirmed, this negotiation would not only change the dynamics of City, but would also have a direct impact on PSG. After all, losing their starting goalkeeper on the eve of a decisive season would force the French club to seek a heavyweight replacement in record time. It is one of those moves capable of triggering a chain reaction in the European market. But while these conversations advance behind the scenes, another City player may also be on his way out. This is Issa Kabore, the right-back from Burkina Faso, with an impressive 49 caps for his national team. The 24-year-old joined the club in 2020 from Mechelen, but has never had the chance to play officially under Guardiola. Since then, his career has been marked by a series of loans in different European leagues. Passing through clubs such as Troyes, Marseille, Luton Town, Benfica, and most recently Werder Bremen, Kabore has built a solid reputation. His performance at the 2021 Africa Cup of Nations, when he was named Best Young Player while helping Burkina Faso reach the semi-finals, attracted worldwide attention. In Germany, it did not take long before he was compared to Achraf Hakimi, thanks to his impressive speed and his energetic attacking style. At Bremen, coach Ole Werner spared no praise, highlighting Kabore's physical strength, pace, and defensive consistency. Nevertheless, his journey at City has never taken off, and now the club see it as positive to open the way for him to pursue his career elsewhere. Southampton have emerged as the main interested party, but Lyon are also monitoring the situation closely. Kabore's departure would be another chapter in the ongoing reshaping of Guardiola's squad, which has already released 11 players since the end of last season, whether through sales, terminations, or loans. This movement shows how active City have remained in the market. The club not only seek to strengthen their squad in strategic positions, but also work to find destinations for players who will not have immediate space in the first team. It is a mechanism that repeats itself in every window and that guarantees City the ability to constantly renew their squad without losing competitiveness. Meanwhile, another subject has been generating debate among fans and pundits: the performance of Jeremy Doku. The Belgian, signed in 2023 for $55 million, still divides opinion. Paul Merson, former player and current Sky Sports pundit, has spared no criticism of the player. For him, Doku does show flashes of talent, but fails to be consistent. In the match against Wolves, for example, he started on the left wing but was substituted in the 66th minute after a discreet performance, while other teammates shone. Merson's criticism is that, so far, City have not been getting on the pitch the return expected for such a heavy investment. Even so, Guardiola remains firm in his defense of the player. The manager believes that, with more maturity and improvement in decision-making, Doku has everything to become a lethal winger in the Premier League. At 23, time is still on the Belgians' side, and the clash against Tottenham emerges as a new chance to silence the critics and prove he can be an important piece in City's machinery. The clash against Tottenham, in addition to being a crucial match in the fight for the Premier League lead, ended up gaining even more intense backstage contours. After all, it is not just a game worth 3 points, but also a stage where market decisions may be made. The possibility of a meeting between Daniel Levy and City's board during the encounter shows just how determined Spurs are not to come out of this transfer window empty-handed. In this context, the pressure on Guardiola intensifies. The manager, known for being meticulous and demanding, must deal with the mission of keeping the squad focused on the pitch, while off-it negotiations are in full swing. The English press wastes no time in turning every detail into a headline, and this only raises the level of expectation. For the supporters, there is a sense that City are in the eye of the transfer storm, something that can be positive or negative depending on the outcomes. In Savinho's specific case, the saga has taken on dramatic proportions because it also involves the emotional factor. City fans, excited about the possibility of seeing the young Brazilian shine at the Etihad, fear the club may repeat past mistakes and end up releasing a gem before his time. The example of Jadon Sancho, who left young and only exploded at Borussia Dortmund, is still remembered with a certain bitterness. Guardiola, in turn, seems determined not to let history repeat itself. Tottenham, on the other hand, see in Savinho a golden opportunity not only to strengthen the squad, but also to send a message to the market. After losing Harry Kane in 2023 and experiencing seasons of highs and lows, Spurs need a symbol of renewal, someone capable of carrying the weight of leading the team into a new cycle. Levy knows that signings of this caliber are not just reinforcements. They are moves of marketing, morale, and international projection. But Savinho is not the only focal point. The issue involving the goalkeepers also adds a dramatic layer to the narrative. Ederson, despite all the affection he has for the club and its fans, has begun to show signs that his journey in Manchester may be drawing to a close. The pursuit of Donnarumma, besides being a bet on the future, is also a signal that City do not want to be caught off guard should the Brazilian decide to leave. This type of movement reveals much about the club's philosophy. Manchester City, under Guardiola and the board, have learned to anticipate scenarios. Instead of waiting for a problem to arise, they prefer to get ahead of it, preparing replacements and keeping the machine constantly turning. It has been this way in various positions over recent years, and it seems to be exactly what is happening now in goal. At PSG, Donnarumma's possible departure also generates repercussions. The Italian, who arrived with star status after shining at Euro 2020, has experienced ups and downs in Paris. Despite great performances in the Champions League, doubts have always lingered about his relationship with the club and even about his adaptation. The chance to join Guardiola and be part of a consolidated project in England may be exactly what he needs to regain stability and project his career to a new level. Meanwhile, players such as Issa Kabore represent the other side of the coin, the harsh reality of footballers who, even though talented, cannot find space in squads overpopulated with stars. The Burkinabe is a classic example of how City work their recruitment network, acquiring promising youngsters, loaning them out to mid-tier European clubs, developing their value, and later negotiating profitable exits. For the player, the chance of a permanent destination, whether at Southampton or Lyon, may be the missing step to consolidate his career at the highest level. This contrast between big stars such as Donnarumma and young battlers like Kabore reveals the breadth of City's activity in the market. On one hand, they seek names that can immediately impact the first team. On the other, they move pieces that strengthen the club financially and balance the squad. This combination is one of the reasons why Manchester City have managed to remain competitive over the years, even while spending millions on reinforcements. Back to the present, the match against Tottenham is symbolic in many respects. Besides potentially defining key positions in the table, it can also be interpreted as a psychological battle between the clubs off the pitch. If City hold on to Savinho, they will have delivered a firm response to their London rival, showing strength and conviction. If they decide to sell him, they will demonstrate that they also know how to use market intelligence to extract maximum value under pressure. For Jeremy Doku, this game is almost a watershed. Much is said about great talents revealing their true selves on the big stages, and facing Tottenham amid so much noise may be the perfect chance to silence critics. Paul Merson may not be convinced, but Guardiola has no doubt that the Belgian will still justify every pound invested in him. All of this places Manchester City at the center of a complex and fascinating narrative, where every decision, every choice, and every negotiation can change the course not only of the club, but also of European football. It is as if the Etihad were, at the same time, a stage for sporting spectacle and a chessboard of financial and strategic moves. And with so many stories intertwining, Savinho's saga, the unprecedented talks with PSG, Ederson's uncertain future, Kabore's possible exit, and even the pressure on Doku, it is clear that Manchester City are living decisive days, on and off the pitch. Every move can reshape the squad and directly influence the season that is only just beginning. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think City should keep Savinho at any cost? Or would it be better to let him go to Spurs and cash in on the deal? And Donnarumma, would he be the ideal signing to replace Ederson if the Brazilian leaves the club? Your opinion is an essential part of this conversation. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep up with all the news, Don't forget to leave your like and subscribe to the channel. That way, you won't miss any updates on Manchester City and the transfer market, which still promises many surprises.